Good morning, everybody. I'm No Arrows, and today I'm going to be reviewing a comic called The Fix from Image, and it's by Nick Spencer and Steve Lieber. And I'm primarily familiar with Nick Spencer for Morning Glories, which it was a good comic, but it kind of went off the rails, so I was like hesitant to pick this up. But I think most people who read this are going to be on board because of Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which I haven't read, but it's a book that Spencer and Lieber worked on prior to this, and it was well received. It was a well acclaimed comic, and it was popular for being a humorous superhero, or I guess supervillain book. And tonally, I mean, like I said, I haven't read that, but I think this is probably, The Fix is probably a lot closer to Superior Foes than it is to Morning Glory. It's definitely more of a humor book, and it also features villains as the protagonists. Basically, it centers around these two cops. They're crooked cops, and they owe money to this sort of this mob boss or like crime lord kind of guy. He's sort of an interesting character. He's like kind of on the surface, he's a very like wholesome kind of new agey, maybe not new agey, but just like a Whole Foods kind of domestic. I don't know. I don't know how you'd really describe him. He's just a kind of a wheatgrass drinking sort of a mellow guy. Jeez, there's a word I'm looking for, but it's not coming to me. But anyways, basically, he's the last person you'd expect to be involved in criminal dealings. This is him right here. Basically, so they owe him money, and they're trying to devise a scheme to make some money to pay him off, or pay him back, and they and yeah, that's pretty much. I don't really want to give away too much because the ride is a big part of this comic, and just seeing how their scheme unfolds and like what their plan is kind of how it all comes together is kind of part of the enjoyment. But that pretty much sums it up. And they also have this part of their plan involves this beagle here, who's a drug sniffing dog for their department, and he hates them immediately. Like, he can sense that these are crooked guys, but they have to figure out a way to somehow work with him regardless, and it's kind of funny. And then there's like this crazy like film producer guy who makes movies based on like true crime stories, and he factors into their scheme as well. And it's a book with a lot of kind of wild characters and out there personalities, and a lot of good character interplay as well. There's the beagle as a better scene with him, or a more visible panel, I guess. And it is a humor-driven comic. It's kind of hard to say, like, to judge the humor, but like it is very humor-driven. And with humor, it's really a matter of personal taste, whether you think something's funny or not. So it's kind of hard to, ascribe a rating to that. But basically, the humor seems to be mostly focused on sort of these outrageous things happening, and like, you know, these sort of vile characters doing outrageous things, and that won't be for everybody. I mean, it didn't really do it for me a lot of the time, but I did get some solid laughs out of it. But I think the comic works beyond that anyway, or at least it worked for me, because the humor didn't completely do it for me, but I was still interested because of the plot and how complex it was. Right off the bat, it has a very large cast. There are a lot of characters that I didn't mention. There's a lot going on. It's very it's just very complex. It still remains to be seen, like, the full details of their plan and like how everything's going to play out. Has a large scope, and that interested me, I'd say, more than the humor did. Still haven't really talked about the art, but there's not really a lot to say about it, really. It doesn't really go above and beyond at any point, but it's not bad either. Characters look fine. You know, it's got good action, as you can see here. It's very I mean, it just doesn't, like, I'm not so good at talking about art, I guess. It's kind of if there's something really bad about the art, then I'll have something to say, or if there's something really good about the art, then I'll have something to say. But with here, it's just like, you know, the backgrounds look fine, the characters look fine, the expressions look fine. Overall, it's good. Art's good. It's like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. But yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's a good comic. I'll definitely pick up the next volume. I think I think this is one of those humor books that has enough going on aside from the humor that you can still read it and enjoy it, even if that kind of like even if that style of humor doesn't really do it for you. So, yeah.